details which you'll be working on today, so it might just get overwhelming. But then the group is always open for discussions. And then after you get the recordings, I'm done with 2 recordings. So I'll put it across in the group, the last 2 days recordings. And this one you'll get by 1 or 2 days max.
Thank
So
you.
good evening. So we start with today's class, and it's like an interesting blend. Those who have not taken CBT as their modality yet, I'll be taking you through this particular. There are 2 basic tools. I'll be discussing the process today. The first tool will be elaborate. The second one, you can start applying and seeing how much you can, apply it with cognitive behavior therapy worksheets. You need not note down anything, but it is expected that you had gone through the archetypes from the previous class, and I have put it across in the group also today. Those few archetypes, we'll just work with the first sheet because otherwise it's going to get very overwhelming. So, a quick recap. The first 2 days, we talked about 10 projective tools which dealt with the defense mechanisms. And if you see those were the unconscious and subconscious elements which are coming into your consciousness. So we kind of built a personality profile through those 10 projective tools. The next day we talked about all the core archetypes and personality traits along with the shadow. So we did a few activities which would bring out your shadow as well, the shadow self, which you may be hiding from your consciousness. And we also talked a little about collective unconscious and how it affects us. Today, we will touch upon cognitive distortions and each type of archetype. There are basic 2 tools through which you can analyze this and also implement in your counseling session. So we'll look into that. Quickly, let me just take you through the archetypes. So these were a few archetypes for which you had got picture cards as well. So hero, lover, caregiver, explorer, rebel, sage, creator, jester, magician, orphan, protector, wounded child, self, and shadow self. So these are a few archetypes which generally are used in everyday practice, and those who have their core characteristics, strengths, as well as their shadow side as well. So which can lead to unhealthy patterns. So it's important to understand both the strength and the shadow side, and also to understand what their goals are, the primary goals are, or what we say as core drives. These are a few more which you can explore later. So these are 3 more sheets which you can explore later. That's going to take you a lot of reading as well. I'll send you a few ebooks which can help you, understand each of these archetypes. A few modern archetypes have also come up. So you can just Google and type in if you need elaborate details about each archetype. You can Google and type in. Apart from the 14, 16 archetypes, which were the earlier archetypes. Okay, we'll start with this activity. So you're going to basically how it's done is you have the person coming in for couple counseling. So if you know they are coming as a couple, you can implement this individually. Otherwise, you can always ask the person who's coming to you for help to understand themselves as well as the partners. So there are 2 ways to do it. As a couple, when they're coming in, you lay out the cards one by one to each person in the relationship, and you ask them to read through it and understand which archetype fits them the best at this moment, or what kind of explains them the best through the picture and the description. So they'll take some time to work on it. The second type can be if only the husband is coming or the wife is coming, you can ask them to first understand their archetype and the second one can be the partner's archetype. So what's their perception about their partner? So it can be done both ways. Okay, should I repeat, or is this fine?
Fine,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. So whichever modality is available, you can do that. But first, you need to lay out the cards, the printed cards, or if you have a digital library of cards, you can show it to them one by one. If they have any confusions, you can clarify it, and then ask them to choose amongst the few which you have. So you can have as few as 16 or as many as 60. But try to work around 16 itself, because that will give you more clarity than working with all 60 of them. And if you have already observed that the person may have something from the other cards, you can incorporate those cards as well. So it depends on the situation and the person who's coming to you. So let's take it as person A and person B. So person A can be the wife, person B can be the husband, or partner one or partner two, whichever, whoever is coming to you. Okay. So person A, who are you in relationships? They have to fish out a archetype. They have to understand the best fit and then present it to you or write it down. Same applies for person B as well. So now I would request you all to do it with yourself. Okay, if you, it's not only a partner, it can be anyone in the relationship. It can be a mother daughter, it can be a father son, or father daughter, anyone. Okay, so it's between two people. You want to understand the relationship dynamics. Okay, so it can be between anyone. So anyone in your mind, whoever is coming in your mind, whom you are spending a lot of time, or there are current conflicts going on, try to understand your own archetype and then the person's archetype. Okay, so for the time being, we are going to analyze what the person's archetype might be. And then you can go, if you have access to the person, you can go and, do the same activity or apply the same activity as an assignment for them as well. Okay, so I would request you to, I'll give you a minute, you go through the slides and try to figure out what archetype are you currently or most often. Any questions? Anything you would like to ask?
So among the 20 odd, the list is mentioned. So I'll have to pick up one for myself
Yes.
and one for my companion.
Correct.
Okay. So picking up a companion would be what is, how I perceive that person to pick up that list.
Yes. Yes. Because we don't have a couple setting right now, or a relationship setting right now, so we are trying to perceive our own concept about the archetype, which we
So,
have observed in the person.
so the question, the who are you in relationship, means suppose a husband can say I'm in relationship with my wife. It's not that. The relationship with the archetype you're talking about. The relationship here
No.
means archetype. No.
Who are you in the relationship means, say, between husband and wife, if the husband is responding, what kind of archetype generally comes up in that relationship?
Ah. Okay.
Say, for instance, a man is very, submissive towards the mother, but then when it comes to the wife, they are the hero archetype, dominant and warrior kind.
Correct.
It's more of a warrior. So there's a difference in relationships. With the mother, maybe caregiver, or some other archetype.
Mentor or something.
Right? Yes, mentor. Correct.
So, can it be that more than one archetypes it's applicable?
It might be, but then the dominant archetype we will look into, because now if you take too many archetypes, it's going to be confusing. So
Okay.
just try to figure out your dominant style. Once you're done, you can put a thumbs up or just write your archetype in the chat, and the partner's archetype as well if you want to share. take a minute's time, go through the archetypes, and then figure out what can it be. As ma'am pointed out, there can be more than more than one archetypes, but you will see that there are consistent patterns all across. So that pattern matters, and depending on that pattern, maybe you can pinpoint the archetype. Once you're done, maybe you can type in the chat box.
So this is with respect to the relationships, right, between me and the assumed person.
Yes, in the relationship, right? Okay, we have got a few responses. Integrator, lover, caregiver, wounded child, lover, protector, caregiver, ruler, caregiver, strategist. Okay, protector, creator. Okay. Okay. So moving forward, I hope you're getting the hang of things right now. Yes. Okay.
So it might differ. What I perceive
Yes.
and what the actual person says, it can differ.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So that will be, you step forward into whatever we are discussing. So that step is not mentioned today, but then it will be a good insight as to how you perceive the person and what the person perceives about
Perceives.
themselves.
Yes, yes.
So you will see a difference also there, but then that's the second layer. But for the timing, let's just work on this as examples, and then you can build upon it once you get the understanding. So you'll see responses like partner one is a lover, partner two is an explorer, or any of the responses which you have given. So what we are going to do is we'll focus on this example and work through, and then you can do it as a homework and try to figure out what's coming up. So I'll give you the layouts, I'll give you the structure, I'll give you the CBT worksheet structure, and then you can do it as a homework for your examples. So, what would it generally mean? The partner or the lover, the partner one is the lover who needs closeness, reassurance, mental connection, affirmations, a lot of attention, basically. And the explorer needs a lot of freedom, independence, space, and a lot of autonomy. So, what do you think will happen if these two people are kind of, into a relationship? What's going to happen? A person who's always pulling and the other person who's always pushing. So, what might just it look like?
Maybe there would be
Friction.
insecurities in the relationships,
Yes.
as one person will feel that he will be left alone and other will feel that he will not be given the freedom. So,
Okay. Yes, definitely that. So it's like a pursuer and distancer. So you pursue the person because you need that kind of love and attention. And the other person feels threatened by always that, helicoptering, which might be interpreted as that. So the archetype lover has a hidden fear of you will leave me. So I'm going to, always keep on checking on you because of my insecurities. So you look at the shadow self, okay, of each of these archetypes. And what do they lack in, or what is the area which they are ignoring? And the explorer, they will have the thought like, you're going to control me. So that's why they build on that aggression and they become aggressive and aloof and all of it. So partner one, there may be in due course of time with all these conflicts going on, one person is pursuing and the other person is backing off. It's more like approach one step and back off one step. So there'll always remain a conflict and lot of distancing and misunderstandings. So what's going to happen is partner one will gradually start off with blunted emotions, low self-worth, confusions about the relationship, depressive symptoms, numbness, okay, dissociation. All of this may surface over a period of time. Partner two, on the other hand, may have avoidance, frustration, a lot of anger, loathing. They start detesting the partner and they start avoiding it. Okay, so one may feel extremely lonely and the other may feel extremely angered. So what happens, it can be both male female both ways. So what happens is the distance grows with time if it is not taken care of. So in couple counseling or in any kind of relationship counseling, you see the dynamics, you see the shadow side, what they may be insecure about, and that will give you leads as to how to resolve. So they may have certain thoughts. So since we are talking about CBT, we'll also look into the thoughts. So the pursuer may feel that I'm losing connection. Why am I not enough? Please reassure me. And the distancer, who's the explorer, may feel I'm losing freedom. Why can't I take my own decisions? Why can't I breathe? Why can't I get my own space? Please stop pressurizing me. So these can be the exchanges or the conversations which might happen in the head. Okay, so the nervous system state would be for the pursuer, it can be hyperactivation, that they are always anxious, always alerted. Okay, and the distancer may feel deactivated, shut down, and frustrated, and there can be withdrawal and all. So initial conflict starts, and basically between the pursuer and the distancer, the pursuer will want reassurance, will always helicopter. Helicopter means always hover around, try to figure out what you're doing, where you're going, whom you're talking to. And the distancer may feed a need for space where they gradually shut down. They don't want to share their details, they don't want to tell you where they are going. And that may give rise to more problems. The next step would be pushes more, doing that a bit too much, and the distancer withdraws even more. The breakdown stage may land up having a lot of panic attacks, over explanation, shouting, altercations, crying behavior. And the distancer may become extremely cold and emotionless. Not that they lack emotions or empathy, but they just don't want to deal with it. And long term damage can be emotional dependency, may further aggravate. There may be somatoform symptoms also, there can be panic attack symptoms, and the distancer can become completely detached. Okay, so these are a few early signs or the conflict signs which a couple may generally come up with in this case. So the very thought which comes up for the person A, would be you don't care. And the second one may think that I'm overwhelmed, just stay away for some time. So basically, this entire table, that synopsis table, you can write down for your own selves and see which one is your core need, which one is your core fear. How is the nervous system? Is it activated or deactivated? Okay, activated means you are supercharged, you're angry, you're anxious. And deactivated means you're shutting down, you don't want to explain much, you've had it enough. Okay. Typical behavior for this case might be texting repeatedly, emotional outburst and over explaining, trying to understand the whereabouts of the partner all the time. And on the other side, the partner's behavior may be withdrawal, silence, not reciprocating, just being on their phones throughout, or just hanging out with their friends. So, all of it. Try to note down defense mechanisms. It is not important here at this moment, but it would be helpful if you can do it later. Emotional consequence can be anxiety and low self worth for partner one, and the partner two can be emotional numbness, which may seem to be, the person lacks empathy, or the person is aggressive, or just doesn't care. The shadow belief, the belief system which we are going to look into, would be what can be the thoughts going on in partner A and partner B. So that is important to write down. You, as yourself, can write down a few thoughts which you have identified with. Maybe I'm not enough. Am I not good enough? I'm doing everything, but why is it going wrong? Or what's going to happen in future if the person doesn't talk to me, or whatsoever thoughts are coming up. I have given you a structure. Okay, there are various cognitive distortions which I'm going to discuss. Just a minute. Okay, so these are a few cognitive distortions. There are 60 in total, but let's just work with the core ones, the 15 ones which are there on screen. You can always go back, read it again and again to understand what the cognitive distortions are. So if someone wants to share their responses for themselves, if you have identified your archetype, can you please share if at all comfortable? If anyone wants to volunteer.
No, this tagging as a pursuer and distancer.
Okay.
This is out of by design, or by out of research and design, or just for an example you have kept that here.
Which one? Which one?
The name pursuer and distancer.
Distancer. See, these are all modified, versions of archetype. So the first 15, which I've given you as pictures and all, those are the traditional archetypes which you generally use. But then there are so many bifurcations of archetypes which were later developed.
So they are categorized under, like, for example, in pursuer, I see caregivers, wounded child. They're all clubbed under pursuer.
Yes. So they'll have traits all of for all of it.
Okay.
Yes. So anyone who would like to talk about their archetype, the core archetype, and then we will move on to this. No one? So I'll do mine itself. So I've put my archetype as a caregiver for the time being. So since I'm taking up a lot of projects and I'm looking after the family and all of it, there are too many responsibilities going on. So I'm kind of worried about their health and my time and how I'm juggling between the two. So my thoughts are generally coming up regarding the insecurities of health and how am I managing time? Am I good enough? You know, am I taking care of my child or my family, or am I giving too much of time on my other projects? So this is what is currently happening. So what do you think can be the thought distortions here? Since I've told you about a few of my thoughts which are going on in my head, too many things. If I miss out something, I feel insecure. So if I don't do something, I feel I'm not good enough. So I start blaming and feeling guilty. So out of all of this, what do you think can be my thought distortion?
Overgeneralization sometimes.
Okay, might be overgeneralization. Yes, sometimes overgeneralization, and also black and white thinking, what I have identified. It's like either it's very good or very bad. There's no gray space. So that's what is happening. If I fail in something, it's like, okay, everything is ruined.
Mm.
So this might be one of my thinking styles. But then you see that the common archetypes aligned to it is hero or ruler. But then I have identified myself as a caregiver right now.
Mm.
Okay, but then overgeneralization is a wounded child. So it won't just fit into these categories only, but you need to first identify what is actually happening with your cognitive distortions first, and then we'll map it out accordingly. So anyone who would like to write down their cognitive distortions, if you have identified from here.
Mm.
Ma'am, for integrator, what will come,
Sorry,
ma'am? For integrator?
integrator.
Yeah.
You have to talk about your thoughts, like what all thoughts are coming to your mind first.
Okay.
So CBT is all about the cognitive distortions. We first identify our thoughts. Maybe you can take 2 minutes and write down what all thoughts come to your mind. What are the shadow side thoughts which are coming to your mind?
Okay, ma'am.
These are a few common, cognitive distortions which we are seeing, but then there are many more as well. So let's work with the first slide itself. Okay, catastrophizing, mental filter, perfectionism. Maybe you can write down the thoughts. So under CBT, we have certain terms called A, B, C. So antecedent, like what led to the problem or what led to the thought. There are certain triggers or situations which lead us to think that way. So that's the archetype personality which you are seeing. So you are like this. That's why you're thinking in certain ways. We'll go back and look at this. So for this particular, analysis for partner one and partner two, we'll go by a few of these things listed here. So for the first situation is this trigger or the situation which has led. What happened? What exactly happened that led to the particular situation or the way the person is thinking? So you can identify maybe certain situations where couples come and they say, okay, he's been doing this or she has been doing this. So these are a few situations which you need to understand that that's the trigger point. Then comes the automatic thought. What are the thoughts attached to it? Okay, so what exactly happened at that point of time which led to the thought? What were the first thoughts? So the example given here is partner replied late and seemed distant, or they did not like the food which you have cooked. So it can be that, okay, with a lot of effort, you have cooked something and they did not appreciate that. So that might be a trigger situation which led to the thought that I'm not good enough. You know, the person is going away from me. They're losing interest in me. What will be the next one? It will be the emotion identified. So as and when I'm discussing, please write down for yourself what all things are coming up. Okay, so partner A and partner B. After emotion, you have identified the emotion. Are you done till emotion? Okay. After emotion, you write about the body sensations. So generally, each emotion will have a sensation. Like if you're really sad or hurt, it's going to wrench your heart. You know, you feel it in your heart. If you're really angry, it's going to be your fist or your head. It's going to, ache, or you'll feel very, very, stiff. So all these body sensations you may write down: tight chest, racing thoughts or racing heart, restlessness, agitation, irritation, all of it can be manifested in the body itself. So this whole part is your A. As we call it in CBT, it's called the A, or the automatic thoughts which we have identified. We're moving on to the second part, which is behavior. So, as a matter of fact, like because of these thoughts, because of the situation, what do you generally do? Do you keep on cribbing? Do you keep on always checking back? Or do you keep on crying? How do you react to these situations? It can be anger, it can be, self loathing, it can be sadness. For both the partners, if you can write it down. So currently, we are just looking through your lens. For the partner, the same situation can have a different perspective altogether. Okay, so for the timing, just write from your perspective, then you can match it with your partner later on, if it is at all feasible. So, as a caregiver, I might be expecting that if I put across something out of love, out of care, the other person may just acknowledge it. But sometimes it doesn't happen. So, I'm just writing from the perspective of that person what exactly happens. The behavior which comes up will give you the core emotions also. Okay, so what do you generally do? Do you shout back? Do you feel angry? Do you keep on texting the person? Do you keep on telling the person something? Okay, so it can be anger, it can be reassurance, it can be over explanation, it can be any of the actions which you do. And then important is the C, which is consequence. So what exactly happens after you are engaging in those behaviors. So there can be, my behavior can be anger and frustration, and the consequence can be more altercations and more fights and misunderstandings. Okay. So basically, I'm just giving you a basic structure of maybe archetype 1. Sorry, I just typed out. So I've given you a basic structure. Sorry, there's a typo. It will be just care. No, the W is added in the end. So archetype, if you look at the caregiver, automatic thought, if there is a trigger situation, it's more like the person doesn't care. And then the behavior can result in hurt and anger, and the consequence can be further misunderstandings and altercations and fights. Okay, so and also depending on the cognitive distortions, that it's black and white thinking. Either the person likes it or doesn't. That means if the person doesn't respond or doesn't like it, that means it's the end of things. The person doesn't care at all. So it's like a black and white thinking or overgeneralization, where maybe the thoughts are blown out of proportion. Whatever is not required, it's like blown out of proportion. Maybe it's not that deep. Okay, so that can be the cognitive distortions. So likewise, I hope y'all are also doing it along with me.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So till cognitive distortions, I hope everything is clear. Okay, so you do it for partner A and partner B. So whenever a couple is coming, you can give them 2 sheets, you can give them 2 stacks of archetypes, and then ask them to explore it first, and then move on with maybe a trigger situation out of which you understand what can be those cognitive thoughts. First of all, write down what all do you think, and then the behavior and the consequence. Okay, so what all thoughts goes on and what their behavior is after that thought and what the consequence is. After they are done till here, you can understand. See, cognitive distortions, you would need to read, you would need to understand what the other person is experiencing. As clients, they may not be aware of all the cognitive distortions. You can, however, psychoeducate them, but that requires a lot of time and energy. So you can psychoeducate and ask them to identify, or you can also do it for them. You can then, after that, you can match like what person A is talking about and what person B is perceiving, and vice versa. So the same situation, you will see 2 different results. Like what person A is thinking and what person B is thinking, and how they are coming to a point where conflicts are arising. Till here, as a therapist, maybe you can explore in a session, and then afterwards, there are certain techniques or tools which you can apply for understanding cognitive distortions, how they are challenging those cognitive distortions, what is the evidence of the distorted thoughts, and what they can afterwards reframe to. Say, for instance, if in this case, if there is anger and then there is constant, altercations after that, if the person is aware that they are having black and white thinking or they are having overgeneralization, which might not be the case, the tool used would be to redefine their thoughts. Redefine in the sense that, okay, let me just pause, maybe respond later, so that the person gets enough space and time to respond to it. Say person B is busy and he or she did not care about what was there, and there's a lot of work given, and the person did not respond on time. So if you give space and time, the other person gets some chance to get back maybe towards the end of the day. Okay, so pausing here will help the person to calm down and resolve conflicts to a large extent. Okay, so cognitive restructuring is one part which the person can take up in order to understand or in order to intervene at this point. Just show you one second. So let's look at this table where all the all the domains are given, where you can see that there are differences in approach. So the trigger situation, partner becomes distant and replies late, needs space. So all of it for partner one, the wounded child or the caregiver, and the second one, the distance or response can be becomes emotionally intense and seeks reassurance. Okay, so automatic thought can be they're losing interest in me, and the distancer can be I am being emotionally trapped, which we have already explored. So this may lead to core cognitive distortions like catastrophizing mind reading. Mind reading would be I read other people's mind before they tell me. So I kind of assume what they are doing. And catastrophizing would be I jump into conclusion and understand that's going to end or it's going to be the end of things. So always negative thinking. And all or none thinking is more of black and white thinking. There's no gray space. And fortune telling that this is going to happen if I don't stop now, this is what's going to happen. In this case, it's going to be my loss of freedom. Okay, so they always fortune tell. So they assume that this is going to happen, and that's why they distance themselves. So cognitive distortions may give rise to emotions like anxiety, sadness. On the other hand, for the other partner, it can be irritation, pressure, frustration. So, what I would like you to understand is the same situation is giving rise to two different conflict patterns. Two different perceptions, two different aspects of emotion, which leads to a lot of misunderstanding. All of these, the core fear, the belief, defense mechanism, behavior, all of it you can put it into a table and write it for yourself. Okay, so this will be a very personal thing which you'll be working on. The CBT framework would be to understand your cognitive distortions first, and then try to figure out what all thoughts can be changed here. That will be a reflection activity for you, where you can write down your cognitive distortions, what you are thinking first, and then the cognitive distortion, and what can you change. Okay, so that will lead to cognitive rephrasing as well. So the goal setting and healthy behavior goal and CBT tool, all of it will come a little later after you analyze your cognitive distortions and what all thoughts can be changed. Generally, there are various techniques for thought distortion challenges. I'll give you more details about these, but as a homework for, maybe I'll take another class on this because it's going to be a little elaborate and extensive. So for all of these tools, there are certain strategies which you can incorporate. I'll give you in a booklet form so that you can apply it. First, understand which thought distortion it is, and then maybe later on you can plan a therapy plan. You can structure a therapy plan for this particular couple. So after these thought distortions and automatic thoughts and what type of archetype they are, based on that, you can have these CBT tools incorporated in sessions where they can come to a general point where conflicts are also resolved. What I would want you to do is go back to this sheet. One second. There are too many sheets here. One second. This one. No, not this one. I lost the sheet again. This sheet would be applied for y'all. So what you do is still your maintaining factor. So maintaining factor is the constant loop which goes on without resolution. So till here, maybe you can identify, you can maintain a thought diary. What we call it as a thought diary, maintaining these pointers. Okay, so the trigger or the situation which goes on generally, commonly, and which is recurring. Automatic thought, like what all thoughts come to your mind. Then you can move on to cognitive distortion, like what type of thought it is. You can refer back to the cognitive distortion worksheet and try to figure out what kind of thought it is. Then you have your emotions, what kind of emotions are surfacing, along with bodily sensations. Your core fear, what is the core fear of the person? Is it abandonment? Is it power struggle? Is it not getting enough love? So all of it comes under fear. So you write down your own fear, you write down the core belief, whatever thoughts are going on in your mind because of the situation which you are into. What can be the defense mechanism? Defense mechanism is an optional thing, you may not write it here. And what is the behavior? Till here, it's important to write down all the steps because that will give you a flow chart of things which are actually happening. So what is the partner's interpretation in such cases? Like, is it that you don't care for me, or is it that you're too controlling, or is it that, there are so many insecurities which surface? So you may or may not write partner's interpretation and directly move on to the immediate consequences. Then move on to the long-term consequence. If this is not resolved, what may give rise to it? Relationship dynamics may lead to whether you're pushing hard or you're distancing yourself. Generally, it's a push or pull or neutral. Nervous system state also is linked to the bodily sensations, whether you're shutting down or you are, too alert or too active, or you're always venting out and lashing out. Shadow need, you can go back to the archetype cards and try to figure out that if I've identified myself with this archetype, what are the areas of, where I need rectification, where I need more improvement and looking into. So that will be your shadow. Those would be your core insecurities which are there and which you don't want to face it. So shadow will give you a very good idea about where you stand about the relationship. Unmet emotional need would generally mean what you generally would want at that point of time from your partner, from the relationship in itself. So, shadow will have certain indicators towards your relationship, unmet relationship needs. And this is also important. What is the maintaining factor? Have you done anything about your cognitive distortions? Have you done about anything about the relationship dynamics? What are the challenges in it? What all things have you done and still failed? If you can understand the maintaining factors would be also incorporated as expectations from the partner. The last parts to it, the last few areas which we are looking into, that would be your therapy planning. Okay, so after you are done with your identification, then you move on to the CBT framework. For the CBT framework, I can give you a quick sessions on that, how to frame your CBT structures after you are done with your cognitive thought distortions and how you have identified what is happening with you or your partner or someone else in the relationship. Okay, so till maintaining factor, this would be like an assignment also to you all. So do it as an assignment, partner A, partner B, or person one, person B, person one, person two. You can put this entire structure and you'll see certain patterns coming up. And then we'll move on to the CBT framework where we are planning how to challenge the thoughts, how to prove that those thoughts are distorted, and how to reframe your thoughts in order to have a better adjusted self. Anything you would like to ask here?
No, we imagine and do this, or a real case has to be there.
You can do it as an imaginary thing as well,
Okay.
but then if you can do it with yourself and someone else, or maybe another set of people, it will be much more hands-on. Because if you just imagine, it will be, cooking up things and writing your own way.
Yeah.
So if you get real subjects, it would give you very good dynamics. And if you do it with yourself, it will be much more clearer. It may not be with a person whom you're having conflicts. It can be very simple things which happen in life. It's not that you'll always have some conflict or the other. That's why you have to put it across as dynamics like that. But then if you do it with another person, person A and person B, person A can be you, person B can be someone else, whoever it is, your partner, your parents, your child, anyone, your colleague, and try to figure out what the same situation may lead to different types of thoughts and consequences and behavior and feelings. Right?
Can this work between an employee and a boss?
Yes, absolutely. But it's difficult to get data from the boss.
It's very difficult. That's what I was imagining. Boss may not cooperate.
Yes. So see, there is a technique called the empty chair technique. If you
correct.
know about it, you can always apply that and then write this.
Correct.
Okay, so it's going to be a little difficult to get the hang of things right now. If you do one or two examples, you'll feel more confident. So we'll stop till maintaining factor. You do it as a homework, and then one more class I'll take it in order to understand how to structure the sessions. Okay. However, I've given a few worksheet layouts which I'm going to share after the class is over. This is generally a thought record between partner A and partner B. You can do it with yourself or someone else. Say the situation, then the automatic thought, then the emotion, cognitive distortion, then evidence. The balanced thought, from here onwards, you leave it blank because we have not discussed it. So you can do it till the the green one, green column. So do one sheet for yourself and the other sheet for your whoever is there in mind. So here is a general dynamics which happens between, partner one archetype and partner two archetype. It can be a lover explorer, it can be a caregiver and rebel. So basic dynamics are given along with the shadow, the relationship conflict, the relationship dynamic, common thought distortions, and what can help. Okay, so this is like a comprehensive table which I've given you different or based on different permutation combinations. It is not limited, but however, you can have your own thoughts and understanding. This is just for a reference. But I would request you not to look at it right away, because then if you do it, it will become much more clearer. And then you can go back and check always. So if we just take one, maybe the protector and the rebel. So the protector will be always under hyper control, and they'll be defined, not listen to anyone. They'll be always worried about protecting and not listening to anyone or taking anyone's suggestion. So that can become overwhelming for the other person. Whereas a rebel can have their own rules and resolution, they can have their own set of rules. Again, there is a defiance included. So what's going to happen here? Protector has good intentions of, keeping everything safe and keeping everything in order, but the rebel would always not want to listen, even if it makes sense. So there's always like a power struggle going on. I'm telling you something, you should listen, and the other person, if you tell me, I won't listen. Generally, we see this kind of relationship between teenagers and parents.
Yes.
Okay, so this is power dynamics, relationship dynamics. All of it is given in few slides, which you can refer to. You can identify your own set and try to figure out what kind of cognitive distortions generally take place. So more or less all the combinations I've tried given, but it may not be enough. So you can have your own set of combinations. You can check your own combinations. Okay. So any questions for this? And I'll quickly tell you what to do with the next one. It's similar, but with a different intention and goal. Any questions for this? I think we'll need one more class. Tomorrow's class will be all about art-based therapies. But then this, if you work out maybe another week or so, then we can get back to the therapy planning sheet.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
good
I have
to
a doubt.
have another class.
Any
Ma'am?
reading materials on these?
Reading materials, I'll send you ebooks, ma'am. Huh?
Okay, okay.
And another, this one which I had shown you, this one. See, these are elaborate tools. Okay, if I have to make you understand, it's going to take 3-4 classes maybe. So I'll give you, what I can do is give you a short handout which you can read, and you can have your own ebooks from where you can read it out. Okay, so these are tools
Okay.
which you can apply in your sessions.
Ma'am, can we apply and try with the previous cases? One of the cases as a dummy we can take and do.
Yes, of course. Why not?
First explore with ourself, as you said, and the second thing.
Yes, yes. Always applying on oneself help because that gives you a lot of clarity. Okay.
No, ma'am, if the discussion group is open, no, we can ask doubt. The first step we will do with us, then with the case.
Yes, yes, of course. Of course.
Thank you.
Ma'am, can this be done with children as well?
See, children, it would be much more directive in a directive way because the cards will not sync in with the children. The kind of cards which I have generated, and I'll be forwarding you with your certificates as well. There's a different set of cards. So for children, it wouldn't sink in that much. But then you can always generate your own set of cards through, AI. Now AI is available. It's easy to, kind of get your work done. So you can always ask ChatGPT if you have the paid version, you can always ask them to generate it as per child's perspective. And you need a lot of hand holding for children as well. So you have to make it easier. So what we are doing is more for the adolescents, adults. But for children, the prompts will be different. The cognitive distortion has much more easier names to understand. So all of it has to be done. So that's kind of a homework which you need to do based on this. Okay, so the second tool which we will look into is the goal setting activity through archetypes. So remember, we have done the real self and the ideal self, the three animals, and how we have come across our real self and the ideal self, who we are and who we want to be. Okay, so if you have the data in front of you, it's fine. Otherwise, you can have the same setup for yourself. You can ask your client to pick up one card for who they are right now and another card for who they want to be. So similar setup. So it's the same person, you're asking them to pick two cards. You can always incorporate this along with the three animal activity, or I think we did three objects. Three object activity. Also the one where last week we did one animal which you like the most and the other one which you hate the most. Okay, so that can be also one of them through which you can carry forward this activity, or you can do it individually as asking them to pick two cards. So these are the two prompts which you can give. Which archetype feels most like you right now, and who do you want to become? Okay, so can be, these are a few examples given to you. The current can be a wounded child, desired can be a hero or protector, an explorer, caregiver or self. Self would be more of a balanced one, rebel or sage. The third prompt which is there is, have you identified yours right now, or do you have the data with you? So if we take caregiver and hero, okay, so what emotional need is this archetype trying to tell you or trying to convey? So you need to write down what emotional need is this archetype trying to convey. So whom you're desiring, or each of the archetypes trying to tell you. So if you see the caregiver, it's more like the family and caring for others. Two, shifting to being independent and vocal. So that's what we are looking into, right?
Mhm.
The fourth prompt would be, if you already were this archetype, what would you be doing differently? Say, for instance, I am currently maybe the caregiver, but if I was the hero, what kind of conversations or what kind of things I would have wanted to do or I would have done? If I have to give examples, maybe taking charge, speaking up more, feeling powerful. Right? Whichever you have written it for yourself. And what part of you resists this growth? The fifth prompt. What is resisting your growth? So your desired archetype with an archetype which is blocking you. So you're going to pick up the third card here.
So will it not be the same one, like from where we are coming, will it not be that current one again blocking us?
It may or may not be, sir.
Okay.
So caregiver attitude can come in from maybe a wounded child also.
Mhm.
So no one listened to them. That's why they have become caregivers. They did not get the love. That's why they have become caregivers. Or it can be any other, archetype which led them to become caregivers. Or maybe it can be that they were rebels initially and now they feel that they need to take care of their family. Okay, so this is what shifts. So, what is blocking them from becoming who they want to be? Say, for instance, the wounded child, if it's the wounded child. So, here the tool can be maybe exploring the childhood, exploring what all incidents happened, what all made them feel insecure. Forgiveness, letter writing, forgiveness, gratitude. All of these tools can be used in the sessions. Inner child healing, all of it can be used as pathways to lead them to become heroes. Because if they don't resolve that wounded child archetype, they would maybe perhaps not be successfully moving on to their desired archetype.
Mhm.
So that is what causes them to self-sabotage. So this will be the fifth prompt, and a little bit of hand holding is required here. A little bit of planning is also required in your sessions, because you would be structuring the sessions along with your clients based on this. So here you may introduce CBT or you may not, but since we are talking about CBT, you can always have your thought distortions. Writing down the thoughts, that's the thought diary, like the previous structure which I showed you. Maybe you can have that replicated, and then you can further explore what all kinds of thoughts are coming up, what all kinds of things which are making them stuck in the place. Okay, so it can be that I'm not good enough, that's why they cannot reach their hero stage. Or I'll be just wasting time, I'll be running out of family time. So all these are thought distortions. Black and white thinking again resurfaces, or overgeneralization, or maybe fortune telling, whichever is dominant. So for understanding the thought distortions, you need them to ask to write down what exactly they think is going on with them. If they have to take up the role of the ideal self, what all thoughts will come to their mind? Okay, and then you start analyzing what kind of thought distortions there are, what are the feelings, what are the bodily sensations which happens when they actually think of becoming their true self. And the last part, the last prompt, the seventh prompt would be, what small actions can you take this week? So either this can be directive, that means you handhold and guide them with certain tools, which I've already told you about. Like if it's a wounded child, you can do a number of things which the person may start feeling better about, or you can ask them to write down a few things. So it's about micro changes. You can challenge the thought, you can give them further CBT tools like challenging thoughts, and then experimentation and trying to figure out which is working, which is not, and then moving on to certain micro changes in their routine. So what are the things which they can simply start? If I have to ask myself, maybe for the hero, I can do some small difficult task or something which maybe I'm uncomfortable with, I can still do it. Maybe micro tasks. Okay, maybe not full blown responsibilities, but few things which will neither be extremely unsafe nor be, not make me also feel too comfortable with myself. Okay, so something which will help me to move forward a step. So people who have weak boundaries, they can say no at least once in a week. So that's like moving a little step forward. Okay, so what all small changes or micro actions you can take up within this week, that's in your therapy plan. So once I'm doing the therapy plan, maybe I'll discuss this further. This is also part of the therapy plan where you create certain statements. Again, creating and reiterating to yourself, self-speaking, when you speak in your head, like the dialogue which you exchange within yourself, create a statement balancing both parts of yourself. So I can act bravery while caring for my fears as well, or caring for others as well. I can explore while staying emotionally safe as well. So these are structuring your phrases and actually believing in them. Okay, if you don't believe, nothing is going to work. So that entire therapy plan and how you proceed with it is another part to it. So this is the concluding line. I would like to say growth does not happen by destroying all parts of yourself, which is archetypes, which you're talking about archetypes. It happens when different parts of you begin working together. So you take the good parts and you accept your shadow part and move forward with micro changes. So a few combinations here also I've given you, which you can explore. And what may surface because of this combination, the ideal self and the real self, similar to the one which I've given earlier. You can read through this, you can explore. What I would suggest, take printouts while you are doing the reading and analyzing. That will be easier for you to go ahead with.
Ma'am, you will be sending this, right?
Yes, I'll send it after the class only. You can go through it. This is the goal setting archetype activity sheet, which you can take a printout and do it for yourself. Do for both, both ideal self and real self, and see how things are matching. Okay, thank you so much. Tomorrow we'll be meeting again, 7:30, and that would be like I'll be explaining you certain art-based therapies, not art-based therapy as such, art-based tools which you can incorporate in understanding how you can incorporate all of it, which we discussed for the last 3 days. Thank you so much, all of you. I took a little more time today, but see you tomorrow all, same time. And I'll send you the PPT as soon as we end the class. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.